Hello and welcome to the video. This is a first look and my review of this thing here. This is not a Radiomaster TX16s, even though it kind of looks like one. This is the Eachine TX16s, and you're probably spotting a couple of little differences from the Radiomaster version. Now I saw this listed on Banggood. I'm a big fan of the TX16s radio, so I thought, oh hello, what's going on here? A while ago, you remember I did a video on something called the Radio King that was actually jumper internals, heavily branded to look and feel like a Radiomaster radio. And that felt a little bit dishonest to me, trying to piggyback on the Radiomaster brand. But this is actually a Radiomaster radio. They're actually manufactured by Radiomaster for Eachine, but there are some differences and some cute stuff that Eachine have done to it as well. So let me first show you how it comes in the box and the bits that you get with it, and go through some of the specs. So this is the same physical size as the other radios, the other TX16 radios, so 183 by 212 by 66 millimeters, weight 736 grams without the battery. DC voltage in is 7 to 8.4 volts, so that's going to be a 2S lithium ion, and the adapter is in here as well. So you are going to need a couple of lithium ion cells, the 18650 style, to run this. It needs a micro SD card, which is included with this version to do all the really cute stuff. And it also comes, really interestingly, with loads of presets on here for Eachine models, which is a really nice touch. I love that idea. I love the fact that this is an open source version of the kind of Horizon hobby way of doing things, where the radio is kind of ready to bind to the model. 4.3 inch 480 by 272 touch screen on here. With the Eachine one you do get a little receiver as well. Same version of OpenTX. You get a few little extra bits and pieces in here if you want to adjust the gimbal tension. But you'll probably noticed that things like the 6 position switches are in a completely different location. So let's talk about the stuff that's different from this then over the Radiomaster version of the TX16s. The first thing, of course, is that the plastics are a little bit different. Rather than have the navigation buttons or the, I think I heard them called chicken feet on the Eachine version, they're now these little round buttons that are just above the screen. And they've also done a couple of other minor changes as well. Some of the navigation buttons are much larger and rounder compared with the Radiomaster version 2. And I must admit, I actually really like this layout. I find the buttons a little bit more comfortable to use, and those 6 position switches are in a position that I can get to without having to take my hands too far away from the sticks. It's a slightly more natural place to get to them for flight modes. Now the other big difference that isn't as obvious is these little holes around the gimbals. These actually allow you to adjust the tension and the ratchet and all that stuff directly from the front of the radio. And that is a really cute thing to be able to do. You don't have to take it apart to tweak it. Now by default, the tension on the sticks is a little bit stiff for me, and there's a very slight ratchet on the throttle, so I would probably slacken them off, but it's lovely to have the option to do that straight from the front of the radio without having to take everything apart. Apart from those changes, if you've watched any of my TX16s videos on the Radiomaster versions, all of this is going to seem very familiar, and the internals are the same as well. So in terms of the switches, their layout, the ports at the bottom, all that stuff is exactly the same. So I wasn't sure what I was going to find when I ordered this, but I'm actually impressed. Now this is a little bit cheaper than the Radiomaster version, and it's nice to see other people OEMing that radio. It's a testament to how successful the Radiomaster TX16 has been and how popular it is that other people are wanting to bring out their own particular variants. It's nice to see that happening rather than people trying to cash in with that kind of Radio King idea on the Radiomaster brand and the radio style. The question I've got, I guess, is why would Eachine do something like this? Because the original radio is very nice indeed, and there are a couple of things on here that they haven't changed. So for example, still got the quite lumpy pieces on the back that lots of people find a little bit hard, makes the radio harder to hold. The other thing of course on here is it's missing the foldable bracket at the back, the foldable handle. You could add that quite easily, just buy the Radiomaster one and it will fit, because the back plastics are all the same, it's just the front plastics that are a little bit different. That is my only reservation about this. The front plastics with them being different, about the spares availability for the switch covers and stuff. Hopefully those things are going to be available for a long time. The Radiomaster spares for the radio are widely available at the moment, so if you do break something or snap something, then you can get extras, and hopefully by having these different front plastics and different layouts, it's not going to mean that you're going to suffer. If you do have a failure or you want to replace something, you are going to be able to get the spares. I wasn't sure how well I was going to like this, but the setup out of the box with those templates and model presets, along with the easier to use navigation buttons, is very good. If you're planning to get something like the Fab E160 helicopter that I had recently, the fact that there's a preset on the radio that you can just bind to that model and then fly is a really cute idea. I would love it if more manufacturers, when they released models, actually also released a generic OpenTX model that you could then load onto your radio. That would make setup for newer pilots so much easier, and I applaud Eachine for trying to do that with this version of the TX16s. So if you've seen this on the Banggood website and you weren't sure what it was or how it worked or what the benefits were, hopefully that explains it. It is their version of the radio. There's some cosmetic tweaks to the layout. The radio itself is exactly the same, and it comes pre-installed with loads of cool model memories for other Eachine products. Thank you for spending your time today watching that video. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you're trying to learn about a subject, then check out the playlist. All of my videos are organised into easy to follow playlists that, if you're trying to learn a topic, will take you from the basics right the way through to some pretty advanced stuff.